everyone. I hope you're having a warm and sunny April. I wanted to take some time to talk about some of my favorite inspirational books or books on intentional living that I think will propel us nicely into the Do-A-Thon. If you don't know about the Do-A-Thon, definitely check it out. I'll have an announcement video linked down below. It's happening May 1st through the 7th. And I would love it if you would join me. Also check out Do-A-Thon Life on Twitter. That's where all of the updates are gonna be happening. It's not a readathon. But since this is a booktube channel, I figured I would talk about some of my favorite books on intentional living. The first book on my list is, surprise, surprise, Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. I talk about this book all the time on my channel. This is the first book I ever read by Brené Brown, and actually I think it started out as a TED Talk. But basically Brené Brown is a vulnerability researcher, which sounds pretty cool, right? She introduces these mind-blowing concepts of wholehearted living. Actually, she has a book called Wholehearted Living that I haven't read yet, but I want to. But anyway, yeah, she introduces these amazing little nuggets of truth. You know what I mean? Like just really great anchors of wholehearted living. And she does it in such a creative way. Like all of the little anecdotes that she shares in all of her books just kind of stick with you for a long time. She just manages to kind of pack these huge ideas into these small vignettes from her own personal life and the lives of the people she interviews throughout the years. I grew so much as a person reading this book. It sounds kind of silly and fuzzy and warm, but it's not like your typical self-help book that says the same thing over and over. It almost has a narrative feel. I don't know, I guess that's not totally fair. It doesn't read like a narrative, but it is just so easy to digest and it's so easy to fly through this book. I highly, highly recommend it. I think that her first book was either Wholehearted Living or The Gifts of Imperfection, which are two books that I haven't gotten to yet that I really want to read. And honestly, they might even be more perfect for the Do-A-Thon. But anyway, I do recommend Daring Greatly. I also recommend Rising Strong by Brené Brown. I promise this won't just be a list of Brené Brown's books, but I did just finish this one on audio. It was narrated by Brené herself, which was just fantastic. She's such a warm, welcoming, and casual reader that it almost felt like I was, I don't know, getting coffee with a friend while she was talking. But I absolutely loved this book. I actually feel like the reason I loved it so much was because I was reading it alongside some of my really close friends here in my real life. And this book just sparks so many rich conversations, there's so many opportunities reading this book to really dive in and gain more self-awareness, but also more compassion for the people you're reading it with. So I do recommend, if you have somebody you can read it with, I think it's fantastic to read it with someone else. So this book is built on what Brené calls the reckoning, the rumble, and the rising. It's all about being brave enough to get up when you fall, and just being willing and open to recognize and disrupt shame and isolation when you're in those face down in the dirt moments. It's a book about wrestling with and rising through those disappointments or heartaches or just hard things in life, and how you can turn those moments into a new narrative for yourself, a new narrative of strength and wisdom. So that's all I'm gonna say about that before this turns into a Brené Brown video. I also really loved Yes Please by Amy Poehler, and I feel like this would be the perfect book for a Do-A-Thon. I also listened to this last month on audio and it was perfection. Amy Poehler's narration is amazing. Amy Poehler is just hilarious and genuine, and I honestly felt like all of those words of wisdom that were kind of trickled throughout her personal essays were being told to me from like an older sister or something. It's casual and lighthearted, but it's also full of meaning and value. Yeah, it's like an older sister kind of telling you her life story so that you can avoid the pain that she went through and embrace the best parts of life. Amy is all about savoring life and not taking things for granted and, you know, not taking life too seriously. I would say this is the perfect supplement if you're planning to read some intentional living books that are a little bit heavier if you're going to do this deep dive into like who you are and all of your fears and motivations and desires or whatever. Yes Please is just kind of a fun break. There's a lot to gain, there's a lot to learn, but it's lighthearted and fluffy, which is nice to read alongside a more hard-hitting book. Next, I have A Million Little Ways by Emily Freeman. I read this book a long time ago, and honestly, I think it's perfect for the Do-A-Thon, especially if you're a Christian or you're interested in reading about Christian spirituality. Emily Freeman is an author in my state, and I found her several years ago from her blog, Chatting at the Sky. And she's just written so many books and blog posts that I cherish. I'm actually reading one of her books right now with a group of high school girls in my church that's called Graceful, Letting Go of the Try Hard Life. And I'm loving it. Her blog has always had the tagline, "Create space for your soul to breathe," which I love, and that really is what reading her books is like. It's like you're on this long road trip and every now and then you pull off to a rest stop and just have a breather, you know? A Million Little Ways is all about creativity and how we're not just born to make art, we're born to live art. This book is for everyone, but honestly, I feel like it's especially for those people who don't identify as artists. They don't maybe think of themselves as creative individuals. Emily inspires her readers to practice mindfulness and consider how every small thing in life has that artistic potential. And if we take the time to uncover the art we were meant to live and turn down our inner critic, we may just surprise ourselves by the courage that can grow. She talks about the simple human acts of listening, waiting, creating, and showing up. And honestly, since I've become an editor, I've really struggled with creativity because growing up as a teenager and a young college student, I really identified as a writer. And so since I've been an editor, I don't do a lot of writing for myself because that passion is just not there necessarily. And so I've felt like, oh, if I'm not writing, I'm not creative. But honestly, this book has helped me realize that I create in other ways. Like I'm creating right now by filming and editing this video, and I create on my yoga mat with movement. You know, it's like the little things that we do, we're designed to create, we're hardwired for it. And we just kind of have to tune our brains to see that. This book kind of helped me take off the pressure of trying to create so that I can be more attentive to when I am creating. This next one may get some eye rolls, but honestly, it came to me at the perfect time in my life, and that is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. This book was my first taste of minimalism, and I just remember being so relieved by the possibility of, you know, creating space in my heart and my home by simplifying and being content with less. So this is a guide for decluttering your home from a Japanese cleaning consultant, which let's just stop for a second and acknowledge how cool that is that that job title exists. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want it, but it's still cool. So anyway, this book is a very practical step-by-step guide. But it's also really transformative if you let it be. There were parts of it that, you know, I personally had to take with a grain of salt, parts that just didn't jive with me personally. But overall, it was amazing. I read it during a season of my life where I was moving a lot. Aaron and I moved 3 times in 3 years. So decluttering before a move or after a move was just essential. And actually, I'm ashamed to say that I've gotten out of the habit of a lot of what I've learned in this book. Since we've moved in this house, we've been living here for about 7 months now. So yeah, I'm hoping to revisit some of those methods that I abandoned for our new home. When Aaron and I went through everything and got rid of stuff that no longer sparked joy for us, I kid you not, we had 11 bags full of stuff to go to Goodwill. And I think we had, on top of that, we had 3 full bags of just paper, like just receipts and old, you know, notebooks from school. So anyway, those are the books that I would love to share with you if you're looking for intentional living type books before the Do-A-Thon. I did want to just let you guys know that I'm going to be sharing my challenge video in the coming weeks, probably like a week or 2 before the Do-A-Thon, and I would love it if you would do one as well. If you've thought about challenges, if you're interested in participating, Or if you want to leave a comment down below and let me know what some of your favorite books are on intentional living, I would love that as well. I'm reading, guys. I promise I'm reading. I know I haven't filmed a wrap-up video, but there will be one coming by the end of the month. I'm not reading like a ton, but I'm reading more than I was, so that's good. So thanks for sticking with me, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.